Hello and welcome to Loki. It's a ranked game between UES Iron Tony. Iron Tony, of course, a challenger for U1700. So whoever's a challenger from this week, or whoever wins the tourney, the challenger tourney will play US Iron Tony for the championship, since Zayfadex has retired after 10 straight wins. Of course, thanks to Zayfadex, I believe he casted some of the games from last week. Definitely check out the videos on his channel. Then we got BC the Dream, the British Columbian clan from Germany, going with Seraphim. So Seraphim versus EEF, a pretty typical matchup. No Aeon or Cybern in this one, so should be a lot more usual battle. No first air from either player. Sorry, Iron Tony was not EEF. I must have just been looking at Iron, and I know why this is. This is because that player, Metal Commander, was always EEF, was always really good. Makes me think that Iron is going to be EEF, but that's not the case. So, ES Iron Tony going second air with Cybern on a map like Loki, of course. Very spread out mask ejectors, gestures. Be very effective. The second air from Cybern, pretty logical. Second land from the Dream. And here, one thing you can mention, the choice between expanding with the ACU or engineers. One thing about the ACU, of course, it's very safe, and it has the build capacity of 2 engineers, so you can imagine taking these 2 engineers, sitting them back at base and building up the speed gens in the factories. It's going to be at the exact same rate as the ACU. However, the ACU doesn't walk as fast, so there's at least 3 factors to consider there: the damage the AC can do, the security, the build capacity, the 2 engineers, and the walking speed. So the distance to the expansions really matters, and the fact that the ACU can't split into 2 is also a problem, although that could be a very interesting possibility. You can imagine units that can split into 2 until they're seen, and where they're seen, that's where they become. But that would probably be a little too crazy. So Iron Tony working on the air factory here, 2 minutes 40 seconds. Getting some scouts. You can see the standard 3 expansion engineers from both players. You can expect to see an engineer in each one of these positions, and that's where you put your raiders. And the most annoying place to lose your engineer, I believe, is up at the front here, and that's exactly where a Mantis from Iron Tony advantage of Cybern. A tank can actually make it all the way across. It's going to be the first kill, and denying these 3 mask extractors is a pretty big pain, because actually it is a long walking distance, and there is a lot of reclamation. And one thing that's unusual so far is that the Dream is going to the bottom. Usually the ACUs go to the side, but here, if Iron Tony does the usual, you might see the 2 ACUs get in a fight here on the bottom. See, that will be the case. You see a bomber not coming out for Iron Tony. Tony going to the top. No air yet. Actually, no. Here comes a 4th air factory from the Dream. And on a map that's large like this and spread out, you really want to get air either 2nd or 3rd. 4th is really the limit. You really want to have an interceptor at this point. This bomber is going to look for an engineer. I think he lost opportunity for a scout. Scout's very cheap, and come out, would have spotted that Engie, would have made this bomber a little more valuable. At this point, this bomber is a bit lost. Interceptor not coming out for Iron Tony, and an engineer together with the Dream. We're going to get a very quick Hydra, which will bring the Dream back in the lead in terms of power production. So far, this bomber, after a few minutes of flying here, 420, hasn't got any bombs off yet. Just 2 very expensive scouts for Iron Tony. And actually, Iron Tony, did I miss something here? No, this engineer is just taking a vacation. This engineer needs to grab those mask extractors and start reclaiming. And actually getting a lot of build capacity in this position is very nice. One really good thing to do on this map, finally a bomber drops off some bombs, the engineer is dead. Huge walking distance for the Dream, big loss. Where to put your factories? Here we see factories from Iron Tony on Loki at the starting position. That's really not that good because the units have to walk down this little hill. They're really out of position. Good places to build your factories is here around these two mass extractors, where you can send them either to defend your base here at this choke point, to the middle where you see a lot of battles, or expanding to the side. And the other is up on this top plateau next to the 3 mass extractors, which allows you to attack to the top. And you want to kind of split it into 50-50 ratios. And then your ACU usually goes to one of the corners to grab those 4 mass extractors. And in this one, we're seeing the ACU for Iron Tony doing a very unusual thing, going directly at Dream's base. And the thing that Iron Tony really got to do is he's got to grab these mass extractors, otherwise that's a wasted opportunity. And also good to get a factory or 2 over here in this position, especially if you're in. For Cybern, it might be good to get air, maybe a point defense, maybe get some transport. You want to grab that position. But if you're Seraphim or Aeon, where you have floating Tech 1 units, it's nice to get some land factors here going an assault. Nice scout here from the Dream. I think he's just made scouts with his air factory. Now a bomber. Nice power spam for the Dream. A little bit 2 pigeons ahead now. 2 engineers on the power spam. The first real battle of the game. 3 kills on this bomber. So definitely worth it. Gets taken care of. And now the ACU for Iron Tony here, minute 7. This should be a surprise for the Dream, although you've probably already seen it, but it's still a very unusual move. So the Dream should be retreating. Probably give up this position, which might isolate the Dream's ACU over here in the corner. Of course, you can always escape into the water. And if you lose this corner as a top side player, you should have an opportunity to grab the top corner yourself. We see quite a bit of units here. And of course, the fact that the bomber from Iron Tony killed the expanding engineer here should put Iron Tony in a pretty good position to grab this top corner, although just a single engineer is going to be very vulnerable against this force from the Dream. Of course, those units had to walk a long distance to get there. And now we got a fight where Iron Tony does not want to get his hands dirty with his ACU, is just letting his units do the fighting. Bit of a micro mistake, might as well throw the ACU in there. Follow with your units. A bomber with 2 kills from the Dream should be taken care of here. Coming up minute 8. And it looks like, yep, this is going to be wishful thinking from that engineer from Iron Tony. He's going to lose. And there is some floating arty here, which is a possibility of a continued attack from the Dream. If you're Seraphim, you got to explode that floating arty to the max on this map. Point defense now has been established, plus some radar. But I guess an ACU with so many tanks probably won't hold out. And Iron Tony here needs to just sacrifice his ACU. He's got really nice regeneration on Cybern. Might as well move in, kill that point defense, denial his position. Because well, one thing he does not know, of course, is the position of the Dream's ACU, and of course he's got to be cautious this far out, but I think that would have been worth the risk, especially if it would keep his Air Force in position to play defense and give him early warning if anything's happening. But putting your ACU in such a position, there isn't really too many places to hide. You're really close to the build capacity of the Dream. I'm actually going to speed this up. That's one thing I'm looking forward to, some feedback from people. I've been at +0 most of the past casts. Perhaps +1 might be good, at least for some stages of the game. And here once again Iron Tony not leading with his ACU, and a lost opportunity, just leaving so much. These two mass extractors, letting them live for so long, will add up. And it looks like the Dream decided not to attack this position. Probably a wise choice. Plenty of take 1 point defenses. So very firm position here on the bottom for Iron Tony. For whatever reason, the Dream decided not to be aggressive and take out the Hydro. Which would have been a really big pain in the ass. Iron Tony now pushing. Yeah, with some Manta, you gotta lead with ACU. That's always the basic rule of Tech 1 Micro. Now he does the correct thing. Although now that's a great bomb. And your Air Force should be in this battle as well. If you don't see flak, enemy flak, what these will do is deny any of these bombers, all this nonsense, protect your own bomber and give you intel. So it's like a win-win-win situation, and it's not being taken advantage of. Meanwhile, the Dream not getting an upgrade. Looks like it's going to be the gun. Decided to go in the water to get the upgrade, just for safety. I guess that's a wise choice. One thing that the Iron Tony could do if you would see Dream out of the water get an upgrade is grab his ACU and move down with all his units and force him to cancel it. Actually, these mass characters completely exposed. If Iron Tony was a little more aggressive with the scouting, and that's a very important point, probably in every single RTS. Aggression must begin with scouting. If you're aggressive without scouting, you're just crazy. So if you're looking for something to do, scout every single part of the map, getting ready to attack. Iron Tony 13 kills, leading the charge, and it looks like this is a massive shift in what he's trying to do. He's basically going to the top, so perhaps he thinks he's got a very strong position on the bottom, and he will be able to take everything on the top, which will give him an advantage in terms of total mass extractors. Probably a good strategy. Although this force from the Dream is quite formidable. He should keep some units close to his ACU, and it looks like now this is great stuff from Dream. He just walked around. A superior force denied all 3 mass extractors. Excellent stuff. And this is minute 12. Let's see how long it takes Iron Tony to rebuild those. But absurd things happening in the corner of Loki. This map, of course, is on the rank ladder, but it's hasn't been there for a long time, and it's quite a bit unusual. People not used to playing it, but these corners are really so critical. 4 mass extractors on this map are huge amounts of mass, and not sending units there for so long to scout and see is a very big lost opportunity. Iron Tony now pushing up against his force. Very crammed units. Possibilities for some overcharges perhaps. But you got to be very careful. And I think Iron Tony is about to lose all of his tanks. There is a little pond here, so that's a place he can hide. But he's just lost all of his tanks. The thing that's special about the THAM, the Tech 1 tank for Seraphim. Meanwhile, we got this battle here where Tech 1 point defenses finally get taken out. Looks like it will be a successful attack for Iron Tony. Meanwhile, Iron Tony is retreating. He's got a trickle of units coming in to help. He's also got Tech 2 bombers, something I missed. Tech 2 bombers are going to be very nice, especially Tech 2 air can get some torpedo bombers, force Dream's ACU out of the water if he's ever found out. And Iron Tony actually not moving sideways, decided not to retreat. And perhaps an air battle. A huge lost opportunity for the Dream in terms of micro. These units were flying in a straight line for such a long time. We could have got behind him. Probably would have killed every single plane. And now once again, the Iron Tony perhaps will regret not moving back behind this wall. Of course, here this wall unreclaimable. Really thin path where your units should defract, but they don't. And here we got a very nice point defense here. Very timely point defense from the Dream. It's going to create all kinds of problems. Already cost 500 mass damage to US for Iron Tony's Tech 1 force. Meanwhile, the gun and Tech 2 for the Dream. Huge investment in that ACU. 0 kills and really no Tech 2 structures constructed. A bit of a waste and a bit of a mess in the middle. But finally here, Iron Tony using his air to scout also Tech 2 bombers. 4 kills. Iron Tony is going to stay in battle here. A little crazy. It's really crazy given that he actually has total intel and he knows how big this force is, but he's not going to back down. And here all these units that are bunched up Great opportunity for an overcharge. 54 kills for Iron Tony. Tech 2 land. Where did I see Tech 2 land? I thought I did. See a Tech 2 engineer. Yeah, this is Tech 2 air. No Tech 2 land. So Tech 2 air for both sides. And here Iron Tony taking capturing 4 mask extractors, something he probably should have done a long time ago. And here, this has been 4 minutes since these 3 mask extractors have been killed by the Dream. Of course, 4 minutes, 240 seconds times 8 mass. You're looking at a little over 2,000 mass that's been taken away, really given away by Iron Tony by not rebuilding those 3 mask extractors with an engineer walking through the forest. And now we got Iron Tony here, living dangerously, might be made to pay the price. An overcharge, 71 kills. Somehow the Dream not really realizing what a good position he had. You see, even a small fraction of the force pushing up against Iron Tony took down his health considerably. And kind of timid there from the Dream. And it looks like the overall strategy for Iron Tony has worked by changing the direction of attack, very slow change of direction of attack, and he took over the top, really just given away by the Dream. He really didn't protect it besides building a couple of take-home point defenses. And now it's a firm map control advantage for Iron Tony, which is attenuated here by the inability of Iron Tony to build Tech 1 mask extractors. And now the Dream finally is in position with this really fancy ACU that he upgraded in the spawn and spent a long time getting into the battlefield. Probably could have snuck it in through this position. And Seraphim ACU with Tech 2 engineering and the gun. Extremely powerful weapon. I guess I was going to say something about the THAM, but then I got interrupted by someone. The THAM, the difference between the THAM and UEF tank, Tech 1 tank striker, is that it does a little more damage per shot, but it has a slightly slower reload rate. And these slightly more and slightly less things are about 25%. So what happens is that a long row of THAMs on the first shot will actually do significantly more damage than a row of UEF tanks. And that could actually be felt. If you run in and attack once, or these initial units trickling into a row of THAMs, they're going to feel much more damage, or not much more, but significantly more damage than if they ran into a row of UEF tanks. That's something to use when you're playing Seraphim. Also the turret, I believe the turret for THAM is a little quicker. And now this is a force that's been seen many times by many Sentence players playing middle. Seraphim ACU with upgrades, it'd be great to see a back upgrade, either the nano repair system or the cruise missile. Then it would be a complete picture. Maybe a little more artillery here as well, and some tech to flak, and you can just take this force and run anywhere you want on the map, like basically with impunity. Nice air force for the Dream as well. Bit of a standoff, but looks like numbers for Iron Tony, so he can take that anytime he likes. And now with this map control advantage, Iron Tony with a significant mass advantage, although there have been some upgrades. And I will go back to 0 because I'm missing a bit of this fight, which is quite important here. The Dream is going to put Iron Tony in quite a bit of trouble. There are some emergency point defenses being put up by Iron Tony, who appears to, he is now attempting to build up a whole bunch of defenses. The bottom part of the map has a whole bunch of units coming in as well. Iron Tony, 81 kills, getting hit by Dream's ACU. 2 kills in the point defense. A lot of artillery for the Dream. Iron Tony down to 7,000 health. A lot of engineers in this position getting emergency point defenses. And if you want to get those quicker, I mean, there's so much build capacity there, you got to select your factories, because I imagine Iron Tony is mass stalling like crazy. it's obviously a lot more important to get this point defense finished than to build, you know, land units somewhere far away. Just select all your factories and pause them. And well, okay, this is very important. A brick from Iron Tony. Iron Tony getting Tech 3 land. And the first brick, at least the one that I saw, gets hit in the face by an overcharge from the Dream. The Dream forces Iron Tony into the water. And one thing we got to remember about the Dream is he's got Tech 2 air, which means torpedo bombers are a possibility. And from what I've seen, he's got a massive air force. We should see Tech 2 flag here for Iron Tony. Iron Tony's probably going to keep moving on the other side of this pond. The Dream decides to retreat, so Iron Tony is relatively safe. A small pond. Come out on the water. Another brick coming in. And perhaps it didn't learn its lesson not to mess with the ACU with an upgraded gun. On the other side we got Peace. Yep, nobody wants to fight. And here this engineer can go ahead and capture these mass ejectors back. And Tech 2 land for the Dream. Yeah, perhaps the Dream decided to respect the Tech 3 of Iron Tony. More scouting from the Dream. So Tech 2 air and Tech 2 land for the Dream versus Tech 2 air and Tech 3 land for Iron Tony. Now, very similar stats except for power. A lot more power, as we see these two Tech 2 P-gens for the Dream. And actually, if Iron Tony were to win this battle, take out these mass ejectors, put some pressure, could have done it quite a while ago. And okay, I don't know, I guess he's been busy fighting, but this right here has now been 10 minutes. 600 seconds times 8 production is 4,800 mass, which is exactly 4 bricks that Iron Tony has missed out on. So now we got this battle. It appears that the Dream decided to fight, but very strange decision given that he had so many reinforcements. He didn't need he did not need to lose all those units. Could have won it much more easily. And now we got the Tech 2 point defense, and yet another brick gets overcharged. And here I gotta really disagree with the way Iron Tony is using his Tech 3 land. And yet another brick. I mean, the reason is obvious. Bricks getting overcharged to the face. Perhaps just build Tech 1 point defenses like he's been doing. And this is important. Tech 2 gunships now from the Dream. And I don't see a lot of air production actually from Iron Tony, which is a bit scary now for these bricks. Yeah, the bricks have not been used very well by Iron Tony. Iron Tony at one point in this game had a very firm map control, but now the Dream looks like he's in a better position. You know, I got some interceptors coming in. Such a bigger air force though from the Dream here. Apologies, Iron Tony sending in his air fighters. 71 interceptors for the Dream. Iron Tony on a meager 20. He's going to get demolished, although should be able to kill off those Tech 2 gunships. But the bricks, a couple bricks, and now obviously given the gunships with a couple flak through the top would cause so much problems for the Dream. Instead of sending him at the ACU, let the ACU take what it's full. It's just one unit. It can take the whole map, and it won't be able to defend its base if it's out in the field attacking. And that's one thing that a lot of players do, is they think that they must go for checkmate right away. I think the center of attack must be the ACU, and that's definitely not the case. You just want to isolate it and kill it when you're ready. It's a general rule. You gotta attack the weakest target, at least if the target is valuable. Of course, then it's that interplay between value and ease of attack. But if it's something that you cannot attack, you can't kill, no matter how valuable it is, it makes no sense to attack it, which is exactly the case here. The Dream 42 kills, and yet another brick. These bricks have not learned their lesson. It's rather sad. And now we're pushing minute 13. of ignoring 3 perfectly good Tech 1 mass extractors. The Dream now retreating. Yeah, this is a lot of dead bricks for the Dream. Although at least one of them is going to be reclaimed by Iron Tony. And now an attack from Iron Tony. Yeah, these corners have been very well hidden. But now it looks like there's some artillery here. There is some arty. Dream needs to do something he could have done a long time ago. Take that arty. Deny this bottom position. And this is tragic. After 14 minutes, finally an engineer was sent to build mass extractors here, and it will not get to do it because of a force from the Dream. Nice Mantis, 5 kills, can kill a couple NGs. And this is the power of gunships on this map. Very quick to deny any kind of problems. Problem solvers. As long as there's no flak, they'll solve your problem. We've now seen Othams. Tech 3 for the Dream. A brick for Iron Tony. Should get quite a few kills. Although it's completely exposed without any flak or air support, so gunships should take care of that nicely. Quite a bit of tech on flak. Now, something I haven't checked most of this game is the reclaim. 13,000 for the Dream. 3,000 in the bank, plenty of power, so this eco is just do whatever the heck you want. Iron Tony stalling hard. 17,000 reclaim, actually. He's got more than the Dream. Now gunships going after this force, which is only protected by Tech 1 flak. Tech 1 flak is not that good. And the thing about Cyber and Tech 1 flak is got a little less health than all the other flaks, so quite easy to kill, especially against gunships. Very weak. So actually gestures versus Cybern are extremely potent, and protected gunships even better. And now finally this has happened. Everything going wrong for Iron Tony now. Yeah, a very nice comeback by the Dream, but I think it really was earned by Iron Tony's bricks, which were sent directly at the Dream's ACU, allowing him to reclaim them for mass. Still a very strong defensive position here for Iron Tony, but he really has no methods of attack anymore. He's got total loss of air. Yeah, it's a nice row of anti-air from Iron Tony, but it's just Tech 1. And now this Tech 3 force continues to get bigger for the Dream. Dream's probably going to play it safe, won't use his ACU too much, keep it under the shield, unless he really is forced with some Tech 3. And amazingly, these two players are not really interested in grabbing mass. This is where a couple of transports would be very handy. Throw some engineers on a transport, send them out, either get reclaimed as 6 kills, grab those free mass. Especially for Iron Tony, who is mass stalling, I imagine. Yeah, so he's got everything, power and build capacity, but no mass. The Dream really has no issues. And now this is a good combination. It's always good to see a force which is both gunships and land, except when those gunships have to fight flak. This is where you got to get your land to selectively target the flak, take that out, and then send in the gunships once again for intel and damage. These gunships flew right over this brick and now are going to fly into an empty corner. The Dream is actually going to come out from underneath the shield. It's got a mobile shield. 10,000 health on this one. The best mobile shield in the game. Yeah, this is one of the units that makes Seraphim extremely strong late game. Makes their snipers viable. And the Dream is now going to push, and this is probably something like the 7th or 6th dead brick via the overcharge. Think about it, that's probably like 10,000 mass wasted
by Iron Tony. Nice deforestation. And a brick now moving through the bottom. No protection, or through the left, but no protection against the air. 27 kill brick is likely to die against gunships as the Dream continues to push. A Raider for the Dream, always a good idea. This is one of the reasons to get Tech 2 on the ACU. You make Tech 1 Raiders very quickly. Yeah, it's gonna be the 8th or so dead brick. Now the Othams are in position to do damage as well. Othams also have two different weapons, one really long reload with high damage, about 400. There goes the brick. And another with a very high fire rate, allowing them to dispatch. There's some Seraphim Arty there. Yep, right there. Already 1 kill. And now I'm gonna go back up to probably like 2, because it's basically there are no moves left for Iron Tony. Perhaps a snipe or very defensive. Maybe trying to upgrade, but when you're facing a force like this coming into your base, you're very much outgunned. You've given up map control, so out-taking will be very difficult. You've also given up a lot of reclaim. The engineers for the Dream standing by. And yeah, this could be a mistake. Yep, there goes the artillery. Now Brick, very brave Brick, is going to run into a whole bunch of Othams. And even though 1v1, the Brick is better. Can't take on that many. Gunships cleaning up for the Dream. So now very methodical. So BC, I think they're all Germans, most of them are Germans. This play by the Dream, very defensive and very methodical, no mistakes. This is very much this German play in Supreme Commander. Really, two players that show that very well are Voodoo and, of course, Blackheart. Artillery for the Dream. Gonna take out this Tech 1 defense position. Tech 1 and Tech 3 artillery. Meanwhile, the last Tech 3 units for Iron Tony facing a superior force. It's just a question of what the Dream will do. He's got a really nice Tech 2 Raider. This Tech 2 Raider, you can see the coverage. Tell him exactly what's happening, so he can attack with confidence. Exactly what he'll do, leading with the shield. Just don't want to get the shield too close. And basically this brick has done no damage except against the shield. Iron Tony's now out of the water. Shield finally dies, and now 2 bricks. The shield, yeah, looks like some power problems. Unfortunate. But the bricks die, and now Iron Tony is fighting a very strong force here. Looks like some overcharges. He might actually be able to survive. Should survive. So successful defense there from Iron Tony. He does have some Tech 2 bombers, but a snipe against the Dream in this position would be extremely difficult. Over 20,000 health, sitting under a Seraphim shield. 13,000, so you need to apply 33 damage to that position. 33,000 damage, which would take in one pass like 40 Corsairs. 40 Corsairs is 420 mass each. So if you do that math, you need about 16,000 mass, and actually I think that's close to what Iron Tony could get if he had his 3 mass extractors working for the past 20 minutes. And finally some transports, Tech 2 transport. He's going to grab the free mass. Dream realizing he's going to need a little more weapons to put this game out of its misery. Looking at his eco, actually, the Dream is beginning to stall as well. Total of 25,000 reclaim. Iron Tony at 24,000, so reclaim is nearly identical.
there should be a lot more opportunities for reclaim for the Dream left over. Yep, there's that brick. And it looks like this destruction took quite a long time for the Dream to solve this problem, but is now solved. So even though we see blue here, it's just some walls which are not important, some soon to be dead manti and mass extractors. So now it's basically a relegation of Iron Tony to the starting position. And it looks like Iron Tony just has a Tech 2 mass extractor attempting to upgrade while he's building Tech 3. Yeah, his eco's got to be really suffering now. Although it appears he did get some good reclaim somewhere, I don't really know where. But it's now a run out. We got over negative 100 mass. But the bricks still doing a good job. The thing about the bricks, they're much better than the Othams 1v1. Without shields, Seraphim are in a bit of trouble. And this is where I'd love to see some snipers for the Dream and a couple shields. Could really move Iron Tony back. Also an Artie here, taking out all that build capacity. Really speed things up. Now we're gonna see the Dream dropping off some more engineers. He's got a lot more red. And wow, this is interesting. I did not see these. 2 bricks in the water. That's probably why those mass extractors are dead. Perhaps they should come out, do some sneaky damage. Now some more engineers from the Dream. I'll deny the left side. And even more reclaim now for the Dream. Is this? Yep, the bricks are out of the water. I'm actually denying all this power. And the Dream is plenty. This could be quite dangerous. Yeah, some Othams on the case and the gunships. But taking out that power generator would have been quite nice. And looks like finally here Iron Tony. Oh, a chicken. Chicken completed by the Dream. See, he had plenty of mass. Taking no chances. Puts this game out of its misery. And hopefully people enjoyed this one.